Hey there, it's Miss Birds here. Welcome back to another drawing tutorial. Today we are going to be going over creating the face. Now faces are really important to understand how to draw. Of course we want to be able to draw people realistically and make them look like real people. And remember our famous quote, you have to know the rules in order to break the rules, right? So there's a lot of different drawing styles where they take the ideal proportions of a person's face and then they alter and change them to create their own style. We see that with a lot of cartoon art and a lot of different forms of animation. And so first things first is that you just want to know how to proportionally draw the face, meaning that all of the features of the face, such as the eyes, the nose, the mouth, kind of make sense and are the correct size for the face, okay? So what you're going to need for today's drawing tutorial is a piece of paper. You're going to want a pencil and then an eraser. When we're going through and drawing the face, there's going to be a lot of construction lines. So think about the construction lines as we went through and we drew the body, right? A lot of them were lines and shapes, and essentially when you draw the body, you would go through and you would erase out those construction lines. We wouldn't necessarily keep them there. And the same technique is going to be working with the face. We're going to be using a lot of construction lines, not shapes, but a lot of construction lines to really create the face shape and the proportion of the face, where things should be located on the face. So you're going to want a really good eraser so that you can erase out some of those construction lines. Remember, you always want to start by drawing light. Okay, drawing very lightly and then going back and erasing where you need to. Remember, you can always go back and darken the lines, right? Or trace over them with a darker marker or a color. But you always want to start really light. That way, if you do make a mistake, which we probably will end up making a mistake somewhere along the time that we are creating this face, but if you do want a mistake, or if you do make a mistake, you do want to be able to erase that out. So keep in mind to always keep your eraser handy, okay? I'm probably going to be drawing a little bit darker on my page just so that you guys can see it easier, but please feel free to draw lightly on yours. Kind of think of it as a sketch, okay? So we just kind of want to lightly put down all of the areas of the face first before we really go in and start putting in the details. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to try and do a good size face. So a face that takes up most of my paper, okay? So don't draw something very itty bitty. While we're learning how to draw things, you want to make sure that you're drawing them on a larger platform. That's going to make it a lot easier to see details. Some people get very overwhelmed or maybe even intimidated when they think about drawing something larger, but keep in mind it's going to be easier to show details in a larger image than it is for you to try and show details in a really small image, okay? So try and draw this face as large as you can on your paper. You can use the whole paper, you can use the half paper, just don't draw it itty bitty. Okay, so first step is we are going to start out with a circle. The circle is going to start out our face, and one of the techniques that I really like using when it comes to drawing the face and drawing circles is I kind of just put my hand in the rhythm or the groove of drawing a circle. Notice I'm not putting anything down on my paper until I really get into the rhythm. And once I feel like I found a good rhythm, then I start putting my pencil mark down. Okay, not exactly a perfect circle, but it does kind of give us a nice general shape of a circle, kind of working with that technique. And I'm just going to darken my circle just a little bit. Hopefully you can see it better on screen. Okay, so once you've formed your circle, the next step is to start creating our first construction lines. So this is going to come vertically through the center of the circle and then horizontally through the center of the circle. So keep in mind vertical is always going to be up and down, and horizontal is left to right or side to side. Okay, so these I'm going to draw fairly light. When you look at your face in the mirror, we don't have lines going down the center, right? So keep in mind that when you're building the face, you want to do your construction lines very lightly, and then you want to go through and erase them where necessary. Okay, so I have my nice vertical line going up and down, my horizontal line cutting through the cross, and it's pretty centered. I will say. So the next step is to build the jawline, okay? Nobody's face is a perfect circle. It's normally we have the circle for the back of our head, and then we have our jawline that's attached. So what you're gonna do is I'm gonna take my index finger and my thumb, and I'm just gonna measure from the bottom of the circle to the center, and I'm gonna take that measurement and then just bring it down, okay? So I'm taking this measurement from the center of the circle, from the bottom of the circle, okay? I'm gonna put my index finger where the bottom of my circle is, and then where my thumb is, I'm going to make a little dash line. Okay, just kind of a little note of where the face is going to end, where the bottom of the chin is gonna be. So from the sides of the circle, coming down, I'm gonna go through and kind of just start creating my jawline. Always taking from the very edge of the circle, creating kind of a general diagonal line coming down. And that gives us more of a general face shape. Now, there are general differences between drawing a female face and a male face. Typically, when we draw a female face, we would have this be a lot curved. The jawline would be a lot curved, a lot softer. Men tend to have more angular jawlines, so they kind of tend to have more jawlines that have straight edges, that are very strong, kind of more how people say a chiseled jawline. And for women, it's a lot softer. So you can kind of adjust your face. I'm not making a male or female at this point. I'm not gonna really go into that too much on this video. We'll probably do that in our next video, but we just wanna get the general proportions down. Okay, so we're just making a general face shape. I'm gonna bring my initial vertical construction line down. And I'm actually going to erase out this construction line here, my horizontal construction line. So initially that horizontal construction line was in the center of our circle. Well, now we want to take it and we want it to be the exact center of the face. Okay, so our vertical line's still going to stay, and the center of my face I think is going to be about right here. So I'm going to go through and create that line in the center. Now, one of the common mistakes that people make when they're drawing the face is they tend to draw the eyes really high on the face. So if you were to actually put one of your hands on the top of your head, one of the hands on the bottom of your chin, the midline of your face or the center of your face is actually where your eyes are. Okay, so the eyes are in the center, and the upper half is going to be divided, and that's where we're going to start the hairline. So keep in mind, the top of your hair, or the hair, is not necessarily on the top of your head, right? There's a lot of space in between the top of your head and then where your hairline is. So we never want to draw the hair all the way up at the top, right? It'll actually come down a little bit, and we'll see it if we're looking at the face straight on. Okay, so this is going to be our eye line, and I'm just going to label it for you guys. And then we're going to take the upper half of this section here, and we're going to divide it in half. Okay, so that's going to be the hairline. That's where your hair is going to start. Now, even if your person is bald, you'll probably still see an outline of where their hair would be if it was growing in, right? So no matter what the hairstyle is, everybody has a hairline, right? Your hairline is really just where your hair starts growing on your head. And so it is going to be down a little bit, right? And we're going to have some space in between where the hairline starts, okay? The forehead, the eye line. And next, we're going to do the nose line. Okay, so we're going to take the bottom half section here, so the section from where our eye line is to our chin, and we're going to divide that section in half. Okay, that's going to create our nose line. So the bottom of the nose is going to be touching that line. And then I'm going to take this last bottom section and I'm going to divide that in half. So we have a lot of just dividing the face in half, right? And that's going to be the lip line. Okay, so we have the hairline, we have the eye line, the nose line, and the lip line. Okay, and next thing is that we want to start putting in some of the facial features. So what we're going to do first is start with the eyes. Okay, now when we're starting with the eyes, we want them to be centered, but we also want them to be evenly spaced on the face. And so we're gonna take this whole eye line and we're gonna divide it up into 5 even spaces. Okay, so the way that I like to do that, and I'm just gonna go through and kind of just, there we go, zoom in a little bit. The way I like to do that is to create a space on either side of this center line. So I'm going to use that center line to kind of guide me. I'm just going to kind of mark where I think my eyes should be, and then take this space, divide it in half, this space, divide it in half. So essentially what we want for our eye line is 5 spaces. So I have 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, 5 space. And you want your spaces to be evenly spaced. Okay, so the same amount of space that I have here from the edge of the eye to the side of the face should be the same as the width of the face. There should be an eye width in between the eyes, okay, the eye itself, and then also from the corner of the eye to the side of the face. So I can tell right now that my spaces aren't exactly even, right? I have a large amount of space going on in between where my eyes are. So what I'm gonna do is just go through and kind of just adjust it. Now notice we're not using a ruler for this step, right? We're really just going through and kind of using our eye. So we're doing kind of a visual guesstimate, right? A visual guesstimation of what the space is. And as you become more confident as an artist, that kind of stuff will come naturally, right? Doing measurements by just looking at things and understanding kind of what we call spatial proximity, the space in between things. Okay, so I can go through, I can measure it. Is this the same amount as this? This line could probably be over just a tad. Okay. And once we have our spaces evenly, then we can go through and really start drawing in what the eye looks like. Now, everybody has different eye shapes, right? Some eyes tend to be more round, some tend to be more almond shaped, some tend to be more slanted. So it really just depends on what you're trying to draw. If you're looking at a picture of somebody, you want to make sure that you're looking at the details of their face. I'm just going to draw a general eye shape, so I'm just going to keep in mind these lines are going to be the corner of the eye, so this is the outer corner of the eye. Kind of bringing that down. The line that we created, it should actually be in the center of your eye. Okay, so that's going to be the center. And there we go. So we have some eyes. Okay, the next would be to fill in the nose. And there's a couple easy ways that you can draw the nose. What I like to do is kind of just start, since we're not doing a tutorial on the nose in general, I like to just draw a little line to curve and kind of do almost like either a sideways teardrop shape or a small oval. The sides of the nostril, okay, the very outer edge of the nostril, should be lined up with the corner of the eye. So it's actually kind of fun. If you take your index fingers and you put them up to the inside corner of your eye and you bring them down, okay, you'll notice that they are probably generally hitting the very edge of your nose, right? So that's another measurement. The edge of the nose is going to hit that line. And another measurement that's very important is the mouth. And the width of the mouth is generally to the center of your eye. So again, if you take your index fingers and you take from the very center of your eye and you kind of just drag your fingers down, they're generally going to be to the outer edge of your lips, right? So we can draw just a very light construction line down. And that will pretty much give us the measurement of the lips. And of course we want to do those construction lines really light, so we can go back and kind of erase them out. I'm going to erase out the ones that I did for the nose and part of that circle that I did at the bottom. Right, so again, we're not really doing any details of the face just yet. We're really just working on putting in where the general measurements are, right? So even though my features don't look the best, right, at least they are proportional to the face. Okay, and one of the very last measurements that is also very important is understanding where the ears go. So again, if you take your index fingers, okay, if you go to where the center of your eyes are from the corner and you kind of bring them to the side, that's generally, and if you do it on your face, take your index fingers to the very outside edge of your eyes, okay, and then kind of drag them across, generally that will be where the top of your ear is. And if you take your index fingers right underneath your nose, drag them across your face to the side, that's generally where the bottom of the ear is. And when you're drawing the ears, we don't want to draw the whole ear like that, right? People's ears don't really stick out like that. If you're looking at somebody face forward, you're really only going to see part of their ear, not the whole thing. All right, but those are some general measurements of how to draw the face. So go ahead and when you're finished with this, take a picture, upload it to Google Classroom, and our next video will really talk about particular or specific features of the face and how to draw them to be a little bit more realistic.